On today's child seat review, we're out here taking a look at the brand new 2016 Honda Pilot. This is a Graco Classic Ride 50 child seat, which is a convertible child seat suitable for rearward or forward-facing installation and children between 4 and 50 pounds. Now the Pilot is interesting because even though it is smaller than some of the 3-row crossovers out there, this does seat 8 passengers in most versions. And that's different than the vast majority of 3-row crossovers out there that seat either 6 or 7. As always, the first step is to move the front seat as far forward as is comfortable and safe. So you want your knees to be about an inch from the dashboard. You want the seat back to be as upright as possible. That will maximize the amount of rear space for rearward-facing child seats. With that front seat in that position, you can see I have no problem installing a rearward-facing child seat right here in the second row. I have about 2 inches of room between this front seat and the rearward-facing child seat. That is important because in the event of a rear-end style collision, the front seat can move backward and you don't want it to impact the child seat. Honda has long had a dedication to the latch format of child seat anchors, and that really shows in the 2016 Pilot because we have at least 3 latch anchors in this vehicle, 4 if you get the 8-passenger version. The model we're taking a look at here is the Elite model, which means that we do have these captain's chairs in the second row. But if you got the 8-passenger version, and that would be every other model of Pilot, then you would get an 8th seat right here in the middle. That would also give you latch anchors in addition to top tether anchors. And then in the third row, the passenger side rear seat in that last row has latch anchors as well. Also unique in this segment, every seat in the back of the Pilot in both rows has a top tether anchor as well. So all 3 positions in the third row, all 3 positions in the middle row as well. Obviously, I can't demonstrate 3 child seats across the middle row because we don't have a middle seat in our particular vehicle. Removing the headrests is required for this child seat to fit properly, but they do come off very easily. Back in the third row, you should note that the Pilot is not one of the larger crossovers in this segment. That means you will find more combined legroom, that's front row, middle row, and third row all put together in something like a Chevy Traverse or a Nissan Pathfinder. That means you'll have more room for child seats in the second and in the third rows. Now, even though the Pilot has 3 sets of top tether anchors in the third row, their intention was not to be able to install 3 child seats across the back because they won't fit. They'll only fit right there in the second row. The intention really was to give you more flexible child seat installation ability in the back. Now, this rear seat is a 60/40 folding design, and it's designed so that you can actually have a child seat on that side very easily and fold this other side up. That allows you to put 3 people in the middle in most versions of the Pilot, 1 child seat right back here, and then some cargo next to the child, or 1 adult, however you'd like to do that. You can also put 2 people across the back and still fold this 40 section, which does give you a decent amount of cargo practicality. One word of warning is that although we have a top tether anchor for this center seat, we do have a seatbelt that comes out of the ceiling, and that does cause the child seat to get skewed to one side or the other. That doesn't really cause a safety problem, but it does mean that it can be tricky for an adult or someone else to sit next to a child seat that's right there in the center. As with most 3-row vehicles that are not minivans, cargo space in the back is pretty limited. We have a 26-inch roller bag, a 24-inch roller bag. You could possibly put 2 additional 24-inch roller bags on top of them behind the third row, and that's basically it. Now, you will find a little bit more storage space in the Explorer, the Pathfinder, or the Chevy Traverse. The Chevy Traverse has probably the most space in this particular segment. It's almost 50% more than we find in this vehicle, but it's still not going to be quite as much as you'll find in something like a Honda Odyssey. Obviously, I had major difficulties fitting child seats behind the third row. However, like I said, you can fold the third row flat like that, and you can put an awful lot of luggage in the back. Now, because the Pilot is a 3-row crossover that seats 8, you can fold the 40% side of the third row, put 7 people in the vehicle, and still have all of this area for cargo in addition to this 40% folding side. That does mean it is possible to fit about 8 24-inch roller bags in the car and 7 people. It will be very tight, however, in that third row. The third row is a little bit close to the ground for my tastes, and it is a little bit cramped compared to some of the competitors. Now, that said, you'll actually be able to fit 7 people and 7 people's worth of cargo in that configuration if you're willing to do it. And you can't do that in something like a Nissan Pathfinder, because a Pathfinder is only 7 passengers, and therefore if you fold down one of the sides of its third row, then you won't have anywhere to put that 7th passenger. And in this vehicle, in the 8-passenger configuration, you can have 7 seat belts available, again, very tight, but you can do it, and then you have this additional area right here for cargo. Thanks for taking the time to check out this video. Be sure and check out the complete review on the 2016 Pilot. That's coming up in about a day or so. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel by clicking on that button at the bottom of your screen, and I'll see you next week.